Good day, dear colleagues. Thank you for your interest in the topic of holism in oncology. This is what the elephant picture deals with. My name is Vladimir Maltsev. I am a doctor urologist from Hanover in Germany. This report starts with quite abstract terms but ends with concrete suggestions on improving cancer diagnostics and treatment. The given report is an abbreviated version of my hypothesis of cancerogenic hypercycle. For more information, please refer to links here on the last report slide. The situation in modern oncology can be depicted as the oriental parable of blind people touching an elephant. Each of the blind person has an own imagination of the examined item, but none of them understands that he is touching an elephant. This is how we do not understand each other. A narrow expert on the p53 protein does not understand a narrow expert on the mRNA, and even if he does, he cannot connect his research area with the research area of his colleague. To understand each other, they must be aware of the fact that their respective research item is just a part of an entity, and this entity can be described by the conceptual apparatus of a higher level than the molecular one. There is one common point in which all blind persons agree. It is the genetic instability of a cancer cell. A cancer feature can be explained by this one central key feature, genetic instability. It is precisely this feature which is the whole elephant as an entity from the point of view of holism. If we understand what genetic instability is, we will also understand what cancer is. The term instability itself is borrowed from physics. Hence, we will describe genetic instability by the conceptual apparatus of physics, or more concrete in terms of the synergetics. This is necessary as we cannot explain by the conceptual apparatus of biology's disciplines how instability occurs. To better understand this topic, we will show in comparison the description of instability in terms of reductionism typical for modern biology disciplines, and in terms of holism typical for synergetics. Expressed in terms of reductionism, genetic instability means that when replicating a cell is unable to keep its genome continuous. Hence, there is some factor or factors that inhibits to do this. Expressing this concept in the holistic conceptual apparatus, instability of any system means a state of this system expressed in heterogeneity and non-simultaneously of each running process and all modification as whole. In this sense, genetic instability is just an instability hallmarks of the whole cell system, to specify its multi-stability, which will be mentioned below. The cell division cycle is shown on the slide. As we deal with a holistic system, we set aside from the division cycle its individual phases as fast as possible. We acquire the so-collected limit cycle that we hereinafter call replicator to simplify the presentation. According to synergetics, this replicator consists of trajectories of a number of components, a number of molecular ensembles striving for the attractor. The largest mass of molecule determined their cyclic modes. In the terms of evolutionary theory, these components have a certain evolutionary origin. According to the modern concept of cell evolution, the cell cycle has emerged based on the replication of firstly RNA and then DNA, which were attractors of this process and involved different additional components in the replication process, firstly on the molecular, then in the course of evolution, also on the cellular level. Different biological elements were added to the replication cycle by symbiogenesis, and the joint predecessor of LECA, eukaryotes, was generated. When a replicator is impacted by a damaging factor, temperature, chemical agent, pH, radiation, it becomes unstable. The trajectories of its components are not connected to the attractor any longer and become freer. The conceptual apparatus of reductionism describes this process as following: affected by a cancerogenic factor, radiation, chemical impact, oncogenic virus, aging, an oxidative shock with generation of free radicals take place in the cell. This process entails perturbation of metabolic trajectories of all types of metabolic process and a partial deintegration and autonomy of cell compartments. These perturbations can be divided in two groups: generation of functional modification and generation of morphological modification. Resulting from enhanced independence of trajectories that are parts of the replicator, they can self-organize spontaneously in a secondary replicator by bifurcation of the primary replicator. This secondary replicator will exist in a line with the primary replicator. Being within the boundaries of one system, two replicators have to interact. This interaction can take place directly and indirectly. Indirect interaction takes place due to competition for resources of the whole system, and direct interaction takes place due to exchange of the components of this limit cycle. In terms of reductionism, genetic instability due to indirect impact is expressed in decrease of DNA repair due to low energy supply, due to anaerobic glycolysis, and loss of ribosomes that are busy supporting RNA replication of their secondary replicator. Direct interaction of two replicators can be studied on the example of viruses interaction. Viruses can interact by complementation and by genetic recombination. Complementation is interaction of viruses when one of them or both provide missing protein to each other for reproduction and development. Genetic recombination is exchange of genetic material between two viruses. Changing one virus on the shim to a primary replicator, we have a shim of interaction of a secondary and a primary replicator. Such interaction of two replicators is a hypercycle. Created once, a hypercycle supports the state of multi-stability of the whole system of a cancerous cell and ensures its ability for high adaptation due to continuous genetic instability. From the point of view of the cell cycle evolution, this is a step back to the time of existence of multicyclic replicators and a new pre-eukaryotic life form. Regarding the process of the dissipative system, decay shown on the slide as a bifurcation cascade, we see that such system consisting of two replicators is multistable. It can exist only until next bifurcation, follow which make the system chaotic. In terms of reductionism, this means that the cell loses the dividing ability and dies unable to keep its self-organization. I would like to focus on the fact that a system can be multistable only if after bifurcation the number of limit cycles does not exceed 2. If the number of limit cycles exceeds 2, after a short time the system becomes a chaos and stops to exist. In the conceptual apparatus of reductionism, multistability means that the morphological structure of cancerous cells is more chaotic than the structure of normal cells, and that the biochemical processes in cancerous cells are also more chaotic. A secondary replicator can be any molecular structure able to self-reproduce independently of their primary replicator. These possible molecular structures are presented on the slide. They are placed on the order of increasing molecular weight. For the dynamic interaction system of two replicators to continue to functional as a multi-stable system, the following mechanisms are possible to support its dynamic balance: utilization of replication products by metabolism, excretion of utilization products through exosomes, or as nucleic acid by non-vesicular excretion, cell division. In the latter case, the cell has a certain limit of accumulation of utilization products, after which it either divides or stops to exist, resulting from inner cell chaos. In this case, the secondary replicator is a driver for uncontrolled cell division, with the goal of quasi-utilization of the replicator's surplus. Spoken in definition of reductionism, cell replication as an entity becomes a means of virus reproduction. Hence, the cancerogenesis mechanism can be imagined as a new inner cell self-organization of a daughter cell generated during stem cell division, resulting from inner cell instability caused by exterior factors like chemical cancerogenesis, radiation, or viruses, or interior factors such as aging, and as a dynamic dissipative multistable system. This dynamic dissipative system consists of two replicators merged in a hypercycle. To support the dynamic balance, this system required a continuous utilization of the surplus of one of the replicators as a whole or as a product of its metabolism and or continuous replication of the whole cancerous cell. To verify the given hypothesis, the following conclusion from it must be confirmed. Even before the expression of malignant growth diagnosed by conventional methods begins, the cancer patient's blood shows an increased level of a material or of utilization products of this material that can be assigned for an additional molecular replicator. These materials content is relatively homogeneous and characteristic for all clones of the concrete cancer type. These molecules must either be able to replicate, that is, presented as a nucleic acid, or be able to support their replication, that is, presented as enzymes. The larger the molecular weight of these molecules, the longer the replication cycle, and the smaller their concentration level in blood. The nucleic acid must have a relatively continuous content. The number of errors, deprivation of the structure, must not exceed a certain threshold necessary for replication. Their number must decrease under the impact of a therapy targeted to decelerate the secondary replicator. Concluding from a suggested hypothesis, cancer treatment can have two strategies that can be provisory called hard strategy and soft strategy. The terms hard and soft implicate presumed different levels of expressed side effects. In the hard strategy, side effects must be expressed stronger than in the soft strategy. Both methods are series of certain medical measures where applying the next measure depends on the success of having applied the precedent one. The duration of each measure is also not a firmly fixed treatment protocol, but depends on its effectiveness. The level of nucleic acid and enzymes excreted by cancer cells in the criteria of evaluating the effectiveness of each measure. The criterion is an indirect indicator of the genetic instability level of cancer cells. The essence of the hard strategy is to enhance already running deintegration process in the cancer cell. In essence, the hard strategy is a development of conventional treatment methods targeted to destroy cancer cell replication, radio and chemotherapy. This treatment method can be applied even not knowing which secondary replicator exactly is the basic of the cancerogenic hypercycle. It is sufficient to know what such secondary replicator exists and that can be recognized by the increased content of nucleic acid and enzymes excreted by the cancer cell. The dynamic system of a cancer cell is in multi-stable state. To destabilize it and transfer to the chaos state, a weaker impact than one on a normal cell is required. On the bifurcation cascade scheme, the multi-stable area is located closer to the chaos area than the monostable area. Hence, weaker impact is required to bring the cell in chaos state. This is the sense of conventional cancer treatment methods, if expressed in terms of holism. Describing this situation in terms of reductionism, a normal cell restores damage caused by radiation faster than a cancer cell. This is why radiation takes place fractionally, with certain pauses. As perturbing the dynamic balance of removing the cell ability to excrete the surplus of secondary replicating products, the instability state in it will occur even faster. The radiosensitivity of the cancer cell will increase, and the radiation or chemotherapeutic preparation dosage can be reduced. In such case, the treatment is performed in two steps. Firstly, the nucleic acid and enzymes excretion is blocked, and after they have reached normal level in blood, a brief radio or chemotherapy is performed. To perturb the excretion system and impact on GT phases REP that take part in exosomes creation is required. This family includes REP 5, REP 7, REP 11, REP 47, and REP 35. Applying the inhibitors of these proteins, we can block the excretion of the secondary replicator products. For this blocking, the following inhibitors can be used. The essence of the soft strategy is to decelerate or completely disrupt the secondary cycle replication with the goal to remove the multi-stability of cancer cell and to transfer it from a multi-stable bicyclic hypercycle to a stable monoreplicator. After such stabilization, the cancer cell loses the ability of hypermutagenesis. After the secondary hypercycle is suppressed, the next treatment step includes application of immunotherapy, which must be more effective than applying it without prior preparing by the inhibitors of the secondary replicator in such case. To apply this strategy, it is important to know which secondary replicator exactly is a component of the concrete cancerogenic hypercycle. If it is a replicator based on the RNA replication, RNase inhibitors that include onconase and perohalol should be applied. If it is a replicator based on the DNA replication, error-prone DNA polymerase inhibitor should be applied. The inhibition effectiveness can be judged by normalization of corresponding nucleic acid or the error-prone DNA polymerases in the patient's blood. Within the framework of this report, I could only address the basic postulates of the hypothesis of cancerogenic hypercycle. Thank you for your attention.